Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Spiritual Ranch. I am Chef Joe Chef Not Known Way, the Off-Grid Oracle. Welcome to our channel, and welcome to the other side of the mountain. We're there on the other side now. But you can see, I cleared all of this, all the way around here, so I've been at it now. I got 4 weeks into it, I think, or so. I guess, yeah, probably about exactly 4 weeks, I would say. I did some other projects. But it was really brushy. This section right here was really brushy, really unhealthy. It was very unhealthy. There's a lot of disease in the fir trees in particular, which I don't know, everybody says they don't really know what it is, but it's it's probably Swiss needlecast. That's what's killing a lot of the fir trees up in Oregon, because they're not native species trees. They're from Switzerland. And so when they replanted like these trees over here, those with the pointy tips are native species. They're not non-native. They're a Swiss tree that were grown in the tree farms and planted. But if you look up here, if you see right there, see that one that has the branches that aren't shaped like a Christmas tree? Right, if I can do this with my finger. That one right there, see how it's like got long branches in the top and it's not shaped like a cone like this one? That's a native species. That's a native species tree. They call that bastard growth, you know? And so the bastard growth doesn't get the Swiss needlecast, only the tree that is imported from Switzerland does. And they replanted all of our forests out here with that stuff. Oregon has it real bad. They've been losing a lot of forests, you know? But yeah, you can see I cleared all the way up. But that's how you get rid of it. The reason that they get that Swiss needlecast, the same with the beetle too, is because the forest isn't properly managed, you know? And so it's easy for the diseases to spread through the foliage. Like you can see, I got good space between these trees, you know? And so like with the beetle, that kills the fir trees as well, they have to jump from tree to tree in order to get, because it's like when they make their flying insect or whatever, they can't go very far. They make the beetle, because they're a larva that kills the tree, and then they're a beetle, right? And so the beetle can't make it very far because they get eaten, you know? And so if there's distance, like when the fire comes through and it clears out all that duff and all that dander on the forest floor, well, if it's clean, and if it's kept clean like that and easily seen, and the trees aren't all close together, then that beetle can't jump from tree to tree, and they fall on the ground and they get eaten, you know? And so it's essential. That's the whole concept behind what we're doing here, you know? That's what it is. It's forest restoration back to its native state. That is a food forest, because it's going to then provide us with acorns, you know? And so, you know, that's what I'm doing. And Steve knows about that, everything too. I mean, his focus is fire suppression. And that's, of course, I mean, of course, that's that. But that's how God works right now, trying to get us onto our divine paths, is that they make emergencies like that. They get guys like Steve thinking, you know, because this guy here has a firefighting company, you know, a bunch of heavy equipment. This guy's set up off grid, like very useful in the event that something goes down. Steve has fuel, and like, I mean, he's been out here for 30 years, you know, and so he knows the land, and like he's done the work on his land. And that's a good example to the other people that are in the community, because they're going to see how that's going to pay off, you know, because he's going to have grass underneath all of his trees now instead of nothing. Because like the manzanita grows so thick, it's like here you can see where it was all real crowded. You see all the stumps, all the trees I took out here. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and those were all dead. That's like 15, 20 right there, plus that big oak that was dead, you know. But all of that, those trees and all the branches and all the dead stuff on the ground makes it so that it's nothing could grow under it. Because same goes for like right here, you know, because I removed a bunch of manzanita from right in here, and you can see it's just duff. But this is like good compost. It's good, you know. And there's grass seed in there, and grass seed will keep for a long time. But the grass that's over here will make more grass seed, and then it'll reseed this, and then it's able to look like this down here. You can see on the edge of that tree line, because see, that's how it should look, you know, and that's how it's gonna look here next season underneath these trees. And then if it's properly maintained throughout the years, if you burn it, and then it refertilizes it and keeps it all free of the vegetation and stuff that's blocking it, and then the grass comes back in here, and then that's how you get the game and the birds and all that stuff, you know. Because like That's what the birds and everything wants to live in, is grass, because they eat grass seed, you know. And so they need a few little spots in the brush where they could go and get away. But if there's too much brush, then there's way more predators, because the predators hide in the brush, you know. So they eat all the little turkey babies, all the little eggs, all the quail eggs and all that stuff, because they can move around that thicket and not be seen as well, like raccoons and stuff like that, you know. And so the way that you increase the food in your forest is by using these mechanisms that God gives us, right? You know, we'll do, I always do a lot of fire series in the wintertime because it's funny how it works. But, well, no, it's not funny how it works. It's exactly how it works, because our elements have to complement each other, you know. And so in the wet months out here, in the winter months, I use fire a lot. It's like one of my most important tools, and it's one of the harder ones to sustain, you know, because like wet wood doesn't burn, right? But like in the summertime, I don't have to use very much fire because it's hot, but it's a real struggle to keep things growing, because you got to have water, you know. And so that's where like a human being was uncomfortable in those cycles. We didn't adjust and develop to, like, we don't go dormant during the dry season, because that's what everything out here does. It goes dormant during the dry season. We have to continue to function, you know. And so we've had to learn how to use our water element really powerful in a time when the fire element is most powerful on earth, which is kind of contradictory to God. You know, we got to think about that. And it's like contradictory to the way that the garden functions, the way that the forest functions, you know. And that's what the forest has against us, the human beings, is that we're not capable of understand. We're not willing, you know, because we took off that fig leaf. You know what I'm saying? We lost our fur, we lost our claws, we lost our teeth, you know? And so now we only wear that fig leaf proverbially in our souls, you know? And in order to go back to the garden the way that everything else is, we're going to have to understand what that means. You know, we got to start really thinking about how we resist God, you know, because it's like a person who is living naturally in this environment is going to understand those cycles, you know? And so it's like, you'll still use fire in the wintertime because it's safe, right? But you're also going to be not going to have to use it the way that we use it, not at all. You know, you're going to learn, a natural person is going to use it still minimally, you know, and in manners that is approving of God. They're not going to use fire in a combustion engine to do all kinds of crazy stuff, or like to run a big boiler to heat their big, huge mansions and all this stuff that everybody's doing. You know what I'm saying? That don't work, you know? So it's like, we got to understand how to manage these elements and properly in the environment that we live in, because for every environment, it's different. This is the environment I live in, which is a temperate rainforest, you know? But like without using those elements properly, which is what I'm trying to teach, you know, you can lose everything that sustains you, because like the acorn needs fire. And if you don't use fire properly with the acorn, then too much fire is going to come through and it's going to burn everything down. And it's with the forest, you know, and the same goes for the water, you know, because we have to be understanding of the fact that like when to use those elements, because like with the water being in the river, it's pretty logical that you don't use fire when the earth is dry, right? That's pretty common sense. But with the human nature, you know, we do, which is not common sense at all. But what we do with water is that we're not intelligent about when we should not and when we shouldn't use water, because there's other organisms that need that water out here in particular during the summer months, you know. And so it's very, very, very against God's approach to the kingdom that I live in, for us to be sucking the rivers dry in those months during the summer when the baby salmon need them, you know. And so that's how we contradict God, you know. You following me here, guys? I don't know. I'm ranting. It's time that we got wise about this stuff, you know. We really need to start thinking about these matters. I always kind of got something a little bit different in my head, you know, when I sit down here. Now, right now, when I take a little break, I'm like, oh, we're doing read. So I've been thinking about stuff, because that's something I do a lot of. And I usually I'll get on here though, and it's like,